Welcome back, my dear students. So as in the previous video, we actually worked with the inventory. Now in this video, we're going to be working up with the tax settings. So the downloadable products settings we will be talking about in detail when we will be working up with the types of the product, and I will show you like what are the types of product. We will be adding different types of product. Then we will be talking about these sections. All right, so let's move up to the tax. Now this tax is coming here, and the reason for that is because in the general settings we selected that we want to just include or enable the tax rates and calculation. And the reason why we did that is because we are running an online store, and basically this particular WooCommerce will calculate the taxes and tell us like these are the taxes that you need to pay your government. So you can just like export this particular list to your accountant and he can set that tax for you. So if you want to include that, if you want to do that, you can do that. And if you want to just like disable it, you can uncheck this and this particular tax will be gone. So if you want to include that on your particular website, you can include it on your website. Let's move up to the tax. Now here it says price entered with tax. Like will you be entering the price inclusive of tax, or will you be just like entering the price exclusive of tax? Now exclusive of tax means that the WooCommerce or your e-commerce website will calculate the tax based on the computer, like the percentage that you will tell your e-commerce website to like take 10% tax from all the US customers. You can just like tell your e-commerce website that, and e-commerce website will just like calculate tax based on that. So when you are adding a product in the add new, you do not have to enter the price just like inclusive of tax, and you just have to enter the price exclusive of tax. Similarly, now we have the calculate tax based on customer shipping address. Similarly, you can just like change this to the shop base address. Now, let's suppose that if you are not in worldwide and you are selling, like let's suppose that your store is US based and you are selling like customers basically something in UK. Then would you want to charge them based on their shipping address? Like, will you be taking like VAT from them, or will you be taking like the US sales tax from them? So it totally depends upon you. You can just ask your accountant what he says and you can select that based on that. For this particular video, I'm going to be selecting the customer shipping address. Whatever the customer shipping address is going to be, we will be charging them the shipping rate. Now, here we have got this shipping tax class based on cart items, or here we've got the standard, reduced, and zero rate. Now, I will tell you about this, but first let's talk about this. Additional tax classes. Now, what they are. So let's suppose that this is our particular website, and in this particular website you can just like deal in with like clothing items, you can deal it with like electronics items. So now let's suppose that for clothing items and for electronics item, the government has said that 10% of sales tax will be taken from the customers that you have to take, and then you have to pay the government. But let's suppose that you are building a website, and in your website, you are also selling cars and you are also selling the mobile phones. So for a Lamborghini, that would not be 10%, that could be like 25%. And for a mobile phone, that would only be like 10%. So you are basically selling multiple items, and multiple items contain multiple tax rates. Then you have to tell that, okay, like for standard rates, that is going to be the items that contain like 10%. And let's suppose that they're also car, I'm selling a car, then I can just add that in the tax class, and I can go ahead and I can hit the save changes, and now I will be having two tabs over here. So this is going to be standard rate, this is going to be car rates. So now this standard rates window and this car rates window is going to be totally same, because here we have to define like how many percentage we're going to take from the customers based on this much country code. So you can select that. But since for this particular video, we are assuming that we are going to be only selling the products that contains just like single percentage, like 10% tax will be applied to all of that particular product. And we are taking tax based on that. We are not selling any other product. That is why we do not have to define that. So similarly, like let's suppose that we have standard rate and tax rates. Car rates. Now, when you will be adding a product in the add new over here, you can see that right here now it will ask you like whether it's a standard product or whether it's a car. So whatever functionality you will be, whatever percentage you will be adding in the car rate, so let's suppose that the rate is like 20% for cars, then that will be applied there to this particular product. And if you select like standard, then whatever you will be adding in the standard rates, like it is 10%, then this will be applied to this particular product if standard is selected. But since we are assuming that you are only taking 10% and you are only selling like one category of product, like that could be either clothing or that could be either electronics, and you are taking 10% tax or 15% tax from there, and that is why we do not have to define that, and you can go ahead and you can hit the save changes. So now here we've got this display prices in the shop excluding tax, or display prices during cart and checkout excluding tax. Now I basically hate it when people show the tax later on when we are at the checkout page. So I like to basically show or include the tax right here on my homepage so that people can see, okay, like this is the tax and this is the total that I would need to pay. So I would highly recommend you to choose it to be including tax. Otherwise, if you want to show it excluding tax on your website, you can do that. But when I'm building a website for my company, I usually ask these things, like whether you want to just like show the prices inclusive of tax or whether you want to show the prices exclusive of tax on your website. So you can just select to be like inclusive of tax and it's going to be shown right there. Now we have got the display suffix. So here, what you can do is that if you are adding including tax, what you can do is that you can add here inclusive of tax, or you can just like VAT, that is going to be value added tax, and you can just add that, and now you can go ahead and you can hit the save changes. Now let's go to the standard rate and let's take a look at it. Now what it is and how it's going to work. So right here you can see that this is like $11.99. This is for the iPhone that we have. And now here we're going to be taking taxes from the person. So let's suppose that if anyone is from United States, all right? And here we've got this United States. So what I will do is that I will click on it, and now you can see that the US code, that is the country code, has been added. Now here, this aesthetic means that in the US, all the countries that we cover will be added in here, and you do not have to just like define that particular country. So aesthetic means that. But let's suppose that if someone is from US and he is from San Francisco, or basically the San Francisco is actually not a state, it's a city. So let's suppose that if he is in California, then we will be adding that particular state in there. And now this asterisk means that all the postcode will be covered, all the cities will be covered, and if someone is from California, we will charge them 13% rate. And now what we can do is that we can name this to be sales tax, all right? Now priority, you can set the priority to be like, let's suppose that if you are taking multiple taxes in a same state, in a same postcode, or in a same city, or in a same country, what you can do is that you can add the priority to be like in the second tax, you can set the priority to be 2. So that means that the other tax will be applied. Like there are sales tax, there are like VAT, and there are GST, and there are so many taxes that you need to pay your government. So you can set a meeting with your accountant and you can ask them like, what are the taxes I have to take in this particular state, in this particular country, and you can set the taxes based on that. Similarly, you can select whether it is a compound one or it is not a compound one. So you can just like ask your accountant and just like decide him with that. And now the shipping means that it's going to be applied to the shipping rate as well. Now, let's add another row, and this row is going to be the US. All right, this row is also going to be US, but it is going to be for all the other US customers that are not residing in the California. So if those customers are not residing in the California, then we will charge them 10% sales tax. Similarly, let's suppose that if someone is from Pakistan, that particular code is actually PK, then we will charge them like 15% of GST, all right? And if someone is from United Kingdom, that is UK, so you can select that, and it's going to just tell you the country code of that. And if someone is from UK, then all the states covered we will charge them like 20% of VAT. All right. And now what we will do is that we will go ahead and we will hit the save changes. Now let's just go ahead and let's add this particular product into our shopping cart. And once you go into your cart, now here you can see it says like $13.79 inclusive of tax. So inclusive of tax is right here, and it says includes 179.99 GST estimated for Pakistan. Now right here you can see for Pakistan we have selected 15%. So if we go and we just like see the price, that was $11.99 plus 15%. That's going to be like for 1378.85. But since actually we added 0.9, right? So now it is 1379.98. So let's just take a look at it. 1379.89. So I think we added 1199.9. Yes, it is actually, like, now this is coming 1379.89. All right, so if I just add this 1379.88. all right, and now this is being rounded off to 89. all right, because this is greater than the 5, that is why it's being rounded off. Now let's go ahead and let's move up to the proceed to checkout, and here we are. So let's suppose that now if I just try to change my country, and I just set my country to be GB, all right, I just changed my country to be United Kingdom. That's going to be GB. Now here it will be changed, and now my tax is actually increased. It says 239.98 VAT. All right, so this is coming right here, and let's take a look at it. So if we just, instead of 15%, we change this to 20%, then we've got 1439.88. So let's take a look at it. 1439.88. So this is exactly calculating based on that. Similarly, now if we just switch our country to US, all right, if we just go ahead and we just set this to US, now it will ask us for the state. And if we have not added the state, so let's suppose that we add Alabama, all right, and now it will be 10%. So 11.99, 10% is actually 119.99. all right, but let's suppose that if we go ahead and we change this to California, now this will be increased, because for the California we have said that it's going to be like 13%. So this is how this particular tax is working. Similarly, let's suppose that if you want to sell cars on your website, you can just set that. You can say that that's a car, and you can go ahead and you can hit the save changes, and now it will be added. And now for the car rates, like if someone is from any country, we will charge them like 200%. all right, we will charge them 200% sales tax. all right, and now you can go ahead and you can hit the save changes. But now here, if you take a look at it, you can see that it's not going to be affected. Right here, it's not going to be affected. And the reason for that is because in our products, if we go into our all products, and we just go ahead and we hit the edit right here, and we just come up here, then our tax class is actually standard. So standard rates is being applied. But let's suppose that if we are purchasing a car from there, then we have to pay like 200% of the tax. So now if we go ahead and we refresh this, you will see that this will be increased, and this is now, they're now taking this much tax from there, because this is actually the car tax rate. So let's just go ahead and let's move up to the standard right here, and let's update our page. And now let's go ahead and let's move up to the tax options, and let's get rid of the car, because we are assuming that you will be only selling those particular products that contains the universal tax rate. That was all for our tax tab. From the next video, we will be working up with shipping methods. Stay tuned, and bye-bye.